Hey guys, so the kind commenter from July who pointed me in the direction of the book Busting Loose from the Money Game, which I don't recommend, doesn't mean you shouldn't read it. I don't recommend it just like for anybody though. This commenter has done God's work and put my entire Science of Getting Rich audio series into one file. So you can just listen to the whole thing straight through, all the chapters read by me with my commentary at the end. That will be available simultaneously with the posting of this video. And so I wanted to direct you also to his podcast, James's podcast. He has a YouTube channel talking about psychedelic experience, specifically mushrooms. And so if you liked the content I was making earlier this summer when I was doing some of that stuff, I think you'll like his channel. You know, he talks about the insights and stuff that come with psychedelic use, and I think that you would like the channel. You should subscribe, so that will be linked below. The Science of Getting Rich audio series in one file will be linked below, and I'll also put that in the playlist. But this was also interesting timing, because yesterday, Tim Grimes, my friend, I'll link to his YouTube channel below, and my friend Cecilia Hendricks, her channel's linked below. Those two are perpetually linked below. Tim got a question that the three of us decided to answer simultaneously again. It's like the third time we've done this. I'm gonna have to make a playlist soon. But so I'll have the links to their videos addressing this topic below. I'm a little dewy. I have a lot of sunscreen on today. Just FYI. It's not sweat. It's not oil. I'm blocking my skin from the sun. I'm approaching my 44th birthday, and I gotta start taking care of this shit. So the question was, in a nutshell, what do I do during the period of time where I am still, this is like the only question that really anybody ever has, honestly. Is there really anything else? What am I supposed to do while I'm waiting? Like, what do I do? So I'm certain that this thing is going to happen, or I'm certain I'm going to get this thing. I've changed my mind about it. What do I do in the meantime? What am I supposed to do at my horribly boring office job while I wait for a different job to show up that I'm certain I'm going to get? Or, you know, that's the basic gist of the question. And so the timing's interesting because I feel like Wallace Wattles is one of the only people that spells this out. And here is what you do. You keep an image in your mind of what you want with the certainty that you're going to get it. So it sounds like the person asking the question already has the certainty part down. Then you go through your daily life doing every single thing. Every action that you take is infused with that certainty and that image. So it's not just imagine it and be certain it's going to happen. And then go about the rest of your day feeling exactly the same way as you always did. Every single thing. So every time you're noticing that you hate your job or that it's really boring, you have to infuse whatever you're doing with that certainty and that image. That is Wallace Wattles' answer to that. And so to put that in maybe different terms that are more digestible, imagine that you already know 30 days from now you're going to be quitting this job, because imagine you've already lined up a new job that you're excited about. Your boss knows and is okay with it. The new boss is somebody you trust to not rescind the offer, so there's no like doubt or worry. You know this thing's happening in 30 days. How would you feel? Take some time and imagine that that's already happened. And how would you feel about it? How would you feel about your current job? Even if you still felt bored and unhappy at your current boring job, you know, hopefully, I think most people would console themselves with the thought and the feeling that it was going to be over soon. So that needs to be happening in your current life, even though you don't actually have that thing nailed down. You have to sort of take that feeling, copy and paste it onto your life. This is the task. This is the hard work. If you can't just ignore what's going on in front of you, then that's what you need to do. But I'll tell you this right now. I've been listening to a lot of Esther Hicks, if you are, I want to like say, go listen to everything Esther Hicks says, because everything she's saying is true. But the truth is that you just can't hear certain things sometimes, or you could hear something that I'm hearing and we hear two totally different things. You could listen to the same thing I'm listening to and we hear two totally different things. There's some really, really juicy nuggets in every Esther Hicks lecture. And one of the things that she has elucidated or put in language that's really good for me personally is that you have to stop observing and giving attention to what is. So when you're in the situation where you're at your job and it's really boring, you have to not give that any mental focus or attention, or you just can't give it any airtime. Like when you notice that you're sitting there thinking about how boring it is, you focus on something else. And this isn't always easy, you know. In fact, it's pretty difficult, especially if it's not just boredom, if it's something that's like really distressing, like you have a family member that's sick, let's say, and you're constantly exposed to that, or you have some, you know, family member who is like angry and unpleasant, somebody who you have to be around that's unpleasant. That can be really difficult. But you just have to think of it, I think, you know, take the emotion out of it and look at these situations that are the current state and understand that any energy you give to them is empowering them. It's keeping them there. If you look at anything as being energized by you, anything that's showing up in your current immediate 3D reality as having been there because you energized it to be there, then the only logical response to that is that you have to stop giving it energy. So you have to expose yourself to this unwanted reality as little as you can. When you are exposed to it because you don't have any choice, you have to remove your attention from it as quickly as possible. You know, of course, you're going to have a reaction to it most of the time. You're going to have if it's something like unpleasant or immediate, you know, like somebody yells at you or something like that, of course you're going to have a reaction, but you have to shift away from that as quickly as you can and put your attention, this is important, put your attention on what you do want. I was just listening to an Esther Hicks lecture, whatever, where she was talking about how every time, and if you think about this, it's true, every time you experience something you don't want, because of the observation of what you don't want, what you do want is, she says, you know, it's vibrationally created, it's in your vortex. But the way I think about that is it's defining what you do want. So if what you do want is sort of like a manifestation in gestation, then every time you observe what you don't want, it adds a dimension to what you do want, or it strengthens what you do want. So if you've got what you don't want and what you do want, which one are you supposed to put your energy and focus on? You know, but most of the time, for me personally anyway, when there's something I don't like in my life, it's a real challenge for me not to think about it all the time. It's kind of what naturally happens. I think this is probably just a human thing. If you don't change this and develop this skill, you know, with intention, that my intention is not to focus anymore on what just happened or this thing that I'm frustrated by or whatever. It's like those things tend to just get your attention and suck your energy into them. And then manifestationally, vibrationally speaking, it just creates more of it. Right? That's what this whole thing is about. So the skill to develop is removing your attention and putting it somewhere else. And a great thing to do, I think, is to develop, you know, sort of an inner life, a solo life that you can focus on outside of that. Hobbies and shit. Like, get a life outside of, you know, what you're experiencing that you don't like. If you're single and you don't like it, or you're in a job that you don't like, you don't have enough money, you know, this is where the work is. This is where you get creative and come up with some other things to put your focus on. You know, if you're whatever. I mean, I don't even want to throw out examples because anything I would say is just something that is applicable to me. So this is really something that people should think about on their own. But you've got to come up with something that you can put your attention on that is not the thing that you don't want. So if you're in a job, and I'm getting a yucky feeling even thinking about this because I've had jobs that were super boring. I own a business and I'm barely ever there. Now when I have to go to work, I'm starting to get that feeling like, oh my God, I don't want to be here. I don't want to do this anymore. I don't want to do this. Like, I've just sort of moved on in my mind from my business because other people are running it now and I'm not doing very much. I get that feeling, that sort of like, you just want to sort of sprint out of wherever you are and be free. I get that. You've got to put your mind somewhere else. When I've in the past had business stuff that I had to do or work, tasks that I had to do that were really boring, the way that I would get through those things was just to tell myself, just start moving, just start doing it, and it'll just be over. You know what I mean? Don't focus on how much you hate the thing you're doing or how boring it is. Just start doing it and start letting your mind go somewhere else. And then before you know it, you're done. It's just like basic life advice. Just start doing it. When you got something you got to get done, just get it done. Just do it. Put your mind somewhere else. You got to go to this job all day that you don't like. Spend your time at this job thinking about what you do want. I mean, you could look at this job that's super boring as your work period for you, like to work on mentally the things that you need to work on. Can you listen to stuff while you're at work? I think there's a lot of stuff that people could be doing that they're not doing. You have to get your mind somewhere else, and you have to keep that sense of certainty with you and banish all those feelings of doubt or hopelessness or like it's always going to be like this way. Get rid of that. And I'm, in saying that, it is an enormous challenge. That's why everybody isn't just doing everything that they want. It's because getting control of this mental stuff is not easy. And sometimes it's easy for you in one area, but it's a total bitch in another area. And, so, keep on fighting the good fight. The idea is to tune yourself to the thing you want. And I really think, for me anyway, it's been really beneficial to listen to Esther Hicks and to start to really think about this in vibrational terms, because this energy vibration shit is real. It's, it's not just some woo idea. It's, I don't think anybody really understands how this is actually creating an outer reality, but it is certainly a thing. So if you think about, what frequency am I broadcasting right now? Does it feel like whatever frequency you're broadcasting would be creating good things or things that are what you want? I don't know. I can usually answer that question pretty quickly. Am I creating good things right now or bad things with how I'm feeling and the thoughts I'm empowering? And the answer is often no. And that's even knowing that I shouldn't be doing that. You know what I mean? It's a muscle that you have to exercise. I'm not very strong when it comes to people, especially. Like when people piss me off, especially if I think it's like really unfair. Like if somebody comes in and I'm having like a decent day and somebody comes in and just like sort of ruins it with their presence, which is my fault. You know what I mean? It's not outside of everybody's control to develop the ability to not be affected by other people. So I can't really blame somebody else for ruining my day. But when somebody comes in and presents me with, a situation where it goes beyond my ability to not be affected by it, like it can take me a day to get past that. If somebody like really pisses me off with something that they do, if there's an element of, I didn't deserve that, and I was having a good day and they ruined it, and this is ongoing, if it's like, whatever, somebody in my life that's around, it can be really difficult. It could take me like a day or two before I finally just say, okay, I got to stop thinking about this. Like, this isn't producing anything good. This isn't healthy. This is probably producing more of these kinds of situations. It could take me like a day or two sometimes, which is really rough, you know? It's really tough. It can be really hard to break out of this former human mindset that like things are just happening to you and there's nothing you can do about it, or that, you know, people just are the way they are and there's no hope, or, you know, like stuff like that. It can be really hard to get out of that for me. That's my big one. Meanwhile, even when I was bankrupt, you know, kind of a major financial blow up could happen and I'd get over that pretty fast. You know, I would maybe an hour or two before I would just say, you know, it's cool. I'm going to get out of this. I'm plugging along. Like, you know, even when I was broke, it was like that. I was like, well, I'm going to get there. I know I'm going to get there in such a big way that it'll erase any of these former financial problems. And now when like a big financial problem happens, it's not so big that it even matters really. So for me, I don't get stuck in those loops, those 2-day long, you know, thinking about everything that's bad. I could see that being the total opposite for other people. I could see getting just like really hopeless and down, and it's always going to be this way about money. So it's really across the board. All topics are fair game for being really difficult. So I don't know. It's important not to beat yourself up for doing this stuff, because you're doing the best that you can pretty much at any given time. And the things that you've created when you didn't know better, that can be hard to get over. But if you didn't know better, there was nothing you really could have done. You think you had choices that you didn't really have. So anyway, I'll stop that there. I hope that was in some way helpful. Have a great day.